and welcome to WRPV and WRPV Studios. You know, I think the most stressful thing that you ever can do in your life is to move. And next to me is a gentleman who takes the stress out of that kind of stuff with his company. And I'm with Dwight Mack. Is it Mack or Mack with an S?
Mack.
Mack. How you doing?
Am I right?
Okay, so the moving industry. It's a nightmare for most people.
Yes.
How long have you been in the industry?
So we've been in the industry for about 8 years now.
Okay. Why'd you get into it?
So it kind of fell into my lap. It was one of those things where I was stressing to move in a media situation, and it was like just scrambling. And I was just like, oh, where do we find a place? Where we get the help to move? How quickly can we move? Stuff like that. And I just thought that maybe other people are having that same issue. And, maybe we should get into it, which was my cousin, my ex-girlfriend at the time, and a friend of mine's. And we just thought, hey, let's get into this. Let's try to help as many people as we can. Let's provide some free resources so that they can find places to live. And, and then, hey, we're there to help them with the heavy work.
And it is heavy work. So you have 2 locations?
Yes. So we have our New York location, which is under Mack's Moving Company, and then we have our Florida branch, which is now in Palm City, which is Mack's Relocation and Storage.
Okay. It's got to be very stressful for the people that are moving. What about for you? Does that stress fall on you and you take some of the stress away from them? So say, hey, we got this. Don't worry about it. We can take care of this.
Yes. So obviously moving is one of the most stressful things amongst all of our customers, whether they are just scrambling because they got to, make sure everything's set up at the new place and turned off at the old place. So even though we do try to provide as much resources and try to provide as much comfort during the initial phone call, just move day is just that stressful. So we just try to keep that in mind when we go out on every move to let customers know, hey, we're there for you. Let us be there. You sit back and relax or make your calls, do what you got to do, but let us do the work.
Do you pack also?
Yes, we do packing as well.
Okay, so, we're only human. And I guess things happen. I know that I've moved a number of times. In my younger days, I did it, so I broke everything. Okay, and then I saw a moving company, and they just took the time. And I guess it's really in the way you train your people. Do you go out there and do the moves too?
So occasionally I go out there just to continue to build the morale between the guys by showing them that, hey, the owner can get out there and the owner can still work. But ideally, we offer a lot of training ongoingly every quarter to make sure that these guys are up to date with the latest trends. We're always looking to enhance our training if we feel like we're outdated or so like that, so that these guys don't just develop bad habits. So yeah.
Okay, do you do local and long distance?
So we do local. We do a little bit of long distance with customers that we built the great rapport with. Versus just offering it to random clients.
Right.
So that basically we have that relationship with them already. They are understanding of how we work and function.
So the moving industry has some stigma to it, because within the industry, like most industries, but in the moving industry, you have people who have nightmare experiences. Mm-hmm. I say to you, hey, I'm going to move. I need you to come back and move me. Do you come and give me an estimate, or do you give me a quote?
So nowadays we can give quotes over the phone. For the customers that are adamant about having somebody come out and do on-site estimates, we can go out and do on-site estimates. But with the technology nowadays, you have computer software where you could do virtual on-sites, or you can actually do get an inventory of the customer and get a very good idea of how big their home is to give them a approximate estimate.
So the question becomes, I call you up and I say I'm moving 4 miles from my house. but I want a price, and I want a final price. I don't want, because everybody's worried about getting stuck on the other end. So I don't have a problem. You come out. Can you give me a final total price if you come out?
So it's hard to give a final overall price only because we can see one side of the move. We don't know what unknowns that we may run into on the unload side of things.
Okay, I get that.
So, we can give you a best guesstimate as humanly possible where we try to be within a 10% plus or minus range.
So if it was a $10 move, it could end up being $11.
Yes.
I mean, and that kind of makes sense because you don't know if you have to take a screen door off to put things in and what you have to do.
Yeah, there's common situations where customers just don't remember that, their treadmill was put together inside the house. And
it doesn't fit through the door.
And now it won't fit through the door. And they're like, I got in here some way, but I've been here for 20 years. I don't know how I came in.
And that makes a lot of sense. What about packing? Like, I have a lot of fine china. Mm-hmm. Do you guys take the time to wrap each piece? And
yeah, so with china and stuff like that, we actually do have special boxes that we use, as well as wrapping paper, newsprint, or bubble wrap to make sure that all that stuff is properly wrapped going into boxes.
So who goes out and does the estimate?
So it just depends. If the customer does want an on-site estimate, we would send our GM or general manager of each location to go out and assess the home, take photos, so that basically when we come back, we can record all the information, kind of assess it together, and then basically make the best decision for that customer.
I guess you have been out there moving stuff. What's the heaviest pieces that you've moved?
I would say probably the solid oak wood dressers.
Okay.
And it's empty and it's just solid wood.
Still heavy. So you come to my house, I have a king size bed. Do you take it apart? Do you then wrap it and take care of it?
Yeah, so we can typically take apart beds, dressers with mirrors, dining room tables. We try to avoid baby cribs as much as humanly possible because, the safety of the babies is everything.
Right.
And the way the screws are, you just don't want to mess with them.
Especially if it's a cheap one. Okay, so I get that. Now, I've learned over my million years being on this earth, because I'm older than dirt, that the hardest thing to move for a layman like me is probably a mattress. Because unless you have a truck, moving a mattress is a nightmare. It doesn't want to agree with any way you put it. Okay? The other thing I learned is refrigerators need to be always standing up. They cannot be laying down.
Okay.
Okay? So those are things I've learned. Has there been times where you've moved items that were like not the norm? Most people would say, well, not the norm item would be like a piano. That's got to be a hard move. How about a safe? Like a gun safe?
Okay, so yeah, we've moved a couple of gun safes. I remember one situation where it was solid winter, a lot of snow on the ground because we're from New York, so we was out in the Vermont area, and it was just a messy day where we could barely get the truck up the road. Oh. But the guy had a gun safe in the basement or his garage, and it wouldn't budge. It just wouldn't budge that spot. Luckily, we had a lineman with us who was able to really put some force into it. But my fear was once we got that safe on the truck, it was, could we make it down that hill?
So, do you ever get stuck with, hey, I need you to move me from here to here? You give an estimate. You pack up. You get to the place where you're going to unload, and you find us on the second floor.
Oh, yeah. We've been in all types of weird situations like that, especially with customers moving from the third floor to a fourth floor walk up. And You're just like, why would you move from a worse to a worse situation? But, you get through it one piece at a time. The unload pretty much goes by pretty fast because you already have everything on the truck. It's just a matter of getting it off.
Right. What's really cool about good movers is watching them place the items on the truck, because that's really a science. Mm-hmm. Okay. So if you have a 4-bedroom house, is there like a certain way to pack? Meaning, you know what? We're going to take these kind of pieces first, then these kind of pieces, and then.
So we pack in what they call tiers, which is solid walls. So you always want to start off with like a base, like a dresser, or it could be an end table as well, depending on how wide it is. And you always want to start off with something solid so that you can start building up your walls. And then once you get enough, maybe enough space, enough walls built up, you can then maybe put a mattress in to kind of hold that wall in, strap it off, and then kind of continue to build or so.
Okay, so back in the day, before your time, the TVs were big and heavy.
Oh yeah.
Now the TVs aren't as big. They're big, but they're not as heavy. But they're also a lot more fragile. So did they get wrapped a certain way?
So we actually implemented a policy within this year to start putting TVs in TV boxes. Because traditionally we used to just put the TVs between mattresses and box springs, and it makes it safe as long as you use a tie-down strap to make sure everything's good. But we realized that if there are any shifts, it can shift that TV. So we said, hey, you know what, to eliminate that $2,000 TV being shifted anyway, let's put it in a TV box that's like $20, $30. And, you know, we know it's going to get to the next location.
Who's your clientele?
So
in Florida, who's your clientele?
So I don't believe we have a direct clientele. You know, we are focused on, you know, clients from 25 to 65 years of age or so like that. But we don't really target anyone specifically.
I mean, because, like, you take me, I have a 4-bedroom house. But I'm ready to downsize. So now I got to figure out, I have a 4-bedroom house. I'm going to go to a 3-bedroom house. What do I do with all that extra junk that I have? So do people downsize and then say, can you store this room because we only have 3 rooms now?
Yes. So we do offer storage. That's one of the biggest things that we like to emphasize with our clients, as we've gotten customers that just had one sofa that needed to go into storage that they really loved, and it's been in storage with us for like 2 years, and they're just like, it doesn't pay for itself 10 times over by now.
And they say, if you haven't looked at it for X time, get rid of it. When my wife moved down here from Indiana, she had boxes. That was in 2006 or 7. There are still boxes that have not been opened. Okay, and I say, Vic, you got to get rid of that stuff. But we have a personal attachment to stuff, and the sad part is that people's attachments are sentimental and not value based. Do you, like, if someone has like a bunch of stuff and they say, you know what, I don't need all this stuff, do you take it and then donate it or do something with it?
So we don't typically donate people's belongings or so like that, but we can take it to donation spots if they would prefer. But usually we'll just, if they want to store it, we can store it. You know, I'm a big believer in sentimental stuff, so like I've had my high school yearbooks and all those yearbooks still sitting around in boxes, and I'm just like, what are you going to do with it? You're not using it.
My high school pictures are probably etched in some cave somewhere. I got years on you. And, you know, life gets in the way and you go through stuff, and I've lost a lot of stuff. But I just, for me, I find it interesting that you have a moving company and you're moving a 3-bedroom house, and you gave an estimate. In that estimate, do you figure that, hey, for this job we need 2 people, we need 3 people, we need 4 people? You know, do you figure that?
So I'm a very analytical person. We've created a lot of spreadsheets that I've backed and tested and tweaked, and basically our spreadsheets allow us to determine, based on the size of the home, how many trucks we need, how many guys we will need, how long the guys will be out there, and we basically try to make the best recommendation for that customer. If we see that the job is going to be very long, like, okay, well, hey, 4 guys might take about 7 hours. So I know even though you recommended 4 guys, we're thinking maybe on the line of 5 or 6 guys, because then, you know, they can be done in maybe 5 hours, 6 hours without being out there for a whole day and physically.
What's the longest movie you've seen?
So we just...
Let's go in pieces. The longest unload.
Longest unload. Well, it has to start with a load, but
I was gonna get to that. I was going there. But the unload is a lot easier and take less time, right?
yes. So an unload usually takes half the time that it takes to load.
Oh wow, okay.
And that's just due to, on the load side, you got to wrap everything and you got to play Tetris with getting it in the truck versus getting it out the truck. So the longest unload I've seen is probably 4 to 6 hours.
Wow. So that was a major move.
Yeah, that was probably somebody coming from out of town and probably had a few pods or so like that.
Wow. All right, we're getting to the top of our time. How do people find you? You have a website, a phone number?
Yeah, so we are, our website is maxmoveandco.com, and our phone number is 518-326-2041.
Everybody, if you're thinking of moving and you're thinking of doing it yourself, you're crazy. I say it, and I say it a million times, always use a professional. In the long run, you will save. If you do it yourself, it'll cost you 5 times more and 10 times more in aggravation. Always use a professional. Mack, I want to thank you. I want to thank you for coming on. Everybody check them out, and we'll be right back.